Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thanks for stopping by. Our dedicated team will guide you through with the latest updates and theories at Starbase, Texas. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for future streams.
9, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, friends all around the world. Welcome to Starbase Weekly, episode 177. We had a beautiful flight, some really nice weather, as you can see in this photo, and we managed to capture some awesome new photos from Starbase, Texas. Today we're joined by Alex. How you going, Alex?
Pretty good. Good morning, all. It's afternoon. And yeah, we should have an interesting show like usual. With that, back to you.
And we got BJ with us as well today. G'day, BJ.
Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Looking forward to a great discussion over all the latest developments.
And we've got Todd with us as well today. G'day, Todd.
Hey, Steph. Hey, everyone. Glad to be here. It should be a good one. Show and tell last night was really good. So, yeah, this should be a really good one today.
Okay, and with that, let's move over to masses. Okay, masses this week. We'll start over at the Flame Trench. Okay, big thing to note this week is they have moved the platform up underneath the static fire stand. Now we're not sure whether they've actually got we can see they've got the old actuators removed and there's new actuators installed, but I'm not sure whether they've actually hooked up the plumbing yet for the hydraulics, so they may have just dragged it across while the engines were disengaged, the motors, were disengaged, but in any case, we have the platform underneath the static fire stand, so they can now remove the static fire stand should they need to, and Alex, you're saying maybe that'll happen very soon.
Yep, the replacement dance floor is coming together at Sanchez, and they're starting to get congestion was plumbing up to gantry.
Status bar on this photo. These boxes haven't changed much, but we do have some rebar down in here. It appears they're going to create some kind of concrete wall in here. It seems to be coming this way as well with these holes drilled here. So, and these are a different length as well.
Yeah, if you look a little bit above, you can see the vertical columns laid out.
So it's going to be like a tapered wall down here. So I'm not sure what that be. I was thinking of this morning, it kind of looks like it's bracing this wall, but I mean, this wall is heavily braced, would it not be?
It's to keep potential flames from wrapping around.
Around here, okay.
Yeah. Mainly for liquid containment, if I had to venture a guess.
So there should be another one this side here eventually as well, perhaps once the scaffold is removed.
If it's for slope for drainage, probably not, but we'll see. I thought those covers were new.
The covers on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, the covers were new, and the rest of it was kind of the same as last week.
So there's a bit of a discussion in show and tell whether or not these covers would continue. This shot here actually shows how close that pipe is to that roof and how it steps up. So kind of looks like it's not going to go there, doesn't it, BJ?
Yeah, I'd be curious how they plan to kind of close that off. I would think that would be a really bad like wind tunnel essentially into there if they don't close that off somehow. But I guess we'll see if any other protection is going to go over the rest, or if this rest is a little bit more like disposable in the event of another incident.
Right there by your hand, Steph, we got those two, the top plates there. They got holes drilled in them, so we don't know if there's another pipe rack going on there, or are they going to just put metal on top of those pipes right there?
All those racks have holes in the top plates since it's a modular system for adding.
So it's not a clear indicator something's going on top, is what you're saying, Alex?
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. You can.
Okay, we've got our main cryo pipes up into the gantry properly. We can see they're ready to go for hoses pretty well once they remove that rack and finish a few more things. We can see the high pressure lines and the other gas lines are ready to go up there. Kind of seems like a lot less plumbing going into this gantry, I guess, because a lot of I'm not sure, compared to the old system, there seem to be a lot more pipes going up into the old gantry.
It'll be about the same.
Still some more to go.
The main difference is they're venting the LOX post all the way out from the main LOX valve in the new fluid bunker.
Cool. Now this LOX drain, we're pretty sure it's going to come out through the SQD, aren't we?
It's for chill down. It's about for everything. It originates at the main LOX valve just inside the fluid bunker.
Not just for the engine chill.
No, it's for when they're doing cool down, the chill down of the line sets. It covers about everything. Last week it was hooked up for when they flush these pipes.
With this pipe down here, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. I was quoting when something doesn't look right, I was saying, Alex always told me if something doesn't look quite right, it's probably for testing or flushing or something.
Yeah, it was in place last week. There wasn't a very good shot, except from ground photos. So.
Okay. So progression slowly going on here. So a bit back view. I'm excited to see concrete over here. I really want to see some concrete all the way over here. It was pointed out to me directly that I should be excited there's concrete here, which I am. So hopefully they continue that concrete throughout this whole area. And hopefully one day they'll concrete this roadway. But I won't hold my breath. Oh, what's in the box? Would they be flex lines, yeah?
Yep.
Cool. So here's another view of that little sidewall they're building and the tapering of the rebars.
Yeah, the main vent line is happening into that valve train
Yeah.
right there. Yep.
Cool. You've done well tracing all that out for us. Okay, off to the methane farm. They've poured some concrete wall, blast wall here, and they're continuing along with their formwork and rebar for the next section. It's pretty well finished up through here. There's still this bit of plumbing here to hook up, that little piece there. This pipe here is hooked in up to here somewhere, I think I saw it hooked into.
There's quite a bit not hooked up besides that, but
Okay.
digress.
Over here, there's something over here. I thought that's not hooked up yet.
That would be the extension for the two more heat exchangers. One's the
Okay, yeah.
outlet and one's the inlet.
What else is in it? I think these. Oh, that was at the other end. Oh, no, it was these. Was they weren't here last week?
Oh.
Yeah, that was the one last night we were discussing that when I looked back and that was there last week. It might have been new last week though.
Okay.
Which would explain
Yeah,
why perhaps we were a bit confused on whether it was new or not last night.
Yeah, they have the main vapor vent collection, and then that's the oopsie. We got a vent.
Okay, should
great
something go wrong,
atmosphere.
that'll. See if something should go wrong, that'll vent out there.
Yeah. But at least on the methane side, that shouldn't be for standard procedure.
Nice
like
clear
at the-
photos. Sorry.
Though, like at the launch site, they probably have permission to vent a substantial amount of methane. I think their annual amount they can release to atmosphere is more than a full stack worth.
Yeah, but that's over like a whole year, so I mean, generally they don't release much, but every now and again a bit gets out. It's not such a big thing.
They release a lot more than you'd think. But yeah.
This end, I guess, is looking fairly hooked up. Okay, this obviously the ship cryo stands seem to have snuck out on everybody. Even NSF missed it, and they had to scroll back through their video to find the when they actually moved. But that was moved, but not last night, the night before, I think, by now. And I think this whole stand is looking very ready to go. You can see they're all hooked up again, and that piece of test pipe is gone. Ready for booster 18. Okay, we'll move on to the Lux farm. Just give me a second here. This photo will do. We're all having a bit of a joke in show and tell how since they've left this nice bit of greenery here in the middle of all the concrete, just to look nice. So we're just in the Lux farm. You're saying, Alex, about getting more pump ready.
Yeah, they've moved the little flex hose connections.
So hopefully we'll see some pumps soon.
Perhaps.
I was wondering whether the two pumps system like this provides more flow rate than the single pump, as well as using the twin pumps, given that over at Florida there seem to be less pairs of LOX pumps than there are single methane pumps.
They have different properties for pumping and densities, as well as more throttle control with more pumps.
Also in spot, I will note that there's freshly torn up concrete underneath these tanks. Not really sure why. One of the speculations was maybe they're going to put high pressure tanks under there, but can't really see any reason why they need them under there. But for some reason they're tearing up concrete under there. I mean, they do it sometimes. It appears just for fun, but I'm sure there's a good reason for it.
Yeah, like Alex was saying in the pre-show, I did actually go back a few weeks and found an angle that looks at the opposite side of those tanks, and the LOX tanks are just gravel under the first two at least. Once you get to the third one, even a view from the other side couldn't see. So I think it may just be that they're giving it a gravel sub base underneath there for whatever reason.
Part of this was when they were before the rest of the tanks, and they were assembling the deluge for the hot fire trench.
Cool. So these hippos haven't moved. Everything else in here looks much the same. I still have this diverter in here. We're guessing so they can use the old LOX pumps for the upcoming cryo test for the booster. Sort of ties into that system.
The extension from the valve at the bottom to right at between the kettle reboilers, yeah, and the other for the piece that'll head to the proof stations is over by the, what would that be, the south end where they have some of the plumbing, some of the pipe staged.
Cool. Okay, let me see where I'm up to. We'll head over to the test tank area. Okay, there was a cryo test a few days ago on this tank again, 18.3. I still haven't hooked up the this new test rig. So perhaps they're doing a series of tests. I propose that they've actually planned to have a series of tests. They did one round of tests there like a week or two ago, and then they did some modifications. Now they're doing another round of tests. I suspect maybe there's going to be a third round of tests where they actually hook up the test rigs up to the grid pin sockets. So maybe this tank actually had a series of tests planned rather than just one test.
The bracing of those frames, I'm not sure if they're more for laterals than more of a lateral load than a vertical load, so we'll see if they're for the grid fins or not.
I suppose we only speculate that because they line up with them. But yeah, for sure.
The double brace under the scaffolding is, dare I say, makes that one look very pedestrian.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. It's like built 4 times stronger for sure.
And the loading, right, if the load paths are more for, like I said, lateral loadings than a vertical.
Before we got onto the stream, I saw an X post from VIX, and unless X was showing me late posts like it does sometimes, I believe they did another crowd test last night.
Yep, they did.
Cool.
And while I bring it up, you guys, if you haven't followed VIX on X, you should follow her. She's all kinds of information, and we're really close to getting her to 10,000 followers. So make sure you follow VIX.
Oh wow, good on you, Vix. 10,000. Good on you. Yes, she keeps up with, especially with the lab Padro camera stuff. Yes, she very much keeps up with pretty well all the latest updates going on through the Lab Padre cameras. I'm only showing this picture here because we were just debating whether they'd reinstall this horizontal ram in. It doesn't look like they have. I mean, they have been doing some work on this tank, so I figure they may have rehooked up this horizontal ram, but they don't seem to have. All the other rams mostly, there's a couple still not connected, but mostly all the rams are still connected. So it's a bit of a mystery that's going on here. Obviously not quite finished with it yet. Looking at this photo, we can see they've disconnected this ram for a few weeks, and these other ones are still hooked up, and they've still disconnected these two rams, and all the other ones seem to be hooked up, so and they're still working on it. So there's obviously something more planned for that tank. Okay, there's not much more at Massey's. They've got some more of the air handler units down here. Have I forgotten something major at Massey's, BJ?
Did we touch on? Did we take a peek at the ship crow station?
Thank you.
Unless I wasn't paying attention. I know we could hit the booster one kind of in the process of other areas.
We did not, thank you. I have an image for that. This one will do. I'm trying something new this week, just at Massey's. I've reduced the number of photos I have in the folder, so it makes it easy for me to find images. Okay, big news here is they've actually started to they've disassembled the old ship quick disconnect system. You can see the old mechanisms over here and the actual QD here. If anyone has any idea why on earth they made this the shape that it is, I'm all ears. I can't quite work it out.
Yeah, it's very confusing to me. And actually, one thing I was actually just kind of looking at that I don't know if we touched on it last night, but the bottom of those two ports, they almost look closed off with some kind of port on. It's not even like it's just a vent drain or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I have no idea. I really don't have any expertise to really even draw on to start thinking about what it could possibly be doing.
Alex?
No comment.
Thanks. Astro J's just shared Vix's X account in the chat there. Thank you, Jay. Okay, so here we've got looks like Chaz, Alex B. You got questions for us from Massey's?
Yeah, I've just got some support. Just go that quickly. So I've got a gifted membership from Jap Kuipers, a gifted membership from Todd Burnell, 5 from All4LX, and 5 from Gulnar. And then we've got a question from Vladimir Havinik, I think. Any idea how they plan to do orbital refueling based on the current ship QD system?
Is it confirmed they're using the normal QD, or is there a secondary QD for?
There's a secondary. It was seen they did it in one of the renders. It's just under there's a male and female ship. Male has docking kind of aids so that it can actually align itself with the female ship, and then it also has kind of a secondary QD thing that protrudes out and looks different to the female QD ship.
Yeah. I would not expect them to be using the tanker's main tanks for transfers to his depot.
I should, while we're here, actually welcome Chaz to the stream. We didn't see you earlier to welcome you to the stream, so welcome to the stream, Chaz.
Thanks, yep. I do have another question, but it's for Mega Bay, so I'll probably wait till that to go over that.
Oh, come
There's a
on.
couple of gifted memberships. I might have missed it. There's one very early in the stream from Astro Joe.
Oh yeah, I don't think I was set up then. Sorry. Thanks, Astro Joe.
And then one from Just Martin as well. Thank you, Martin. Okay, so no more questions at Massey's. We'll have a quick look around some of the sites here. Over at Rio West, it's looking fairly finished on the house side of things and on the apartment side of things. And even all these buildings are all finished off. We're getting some turf or sod, as you call it in America.
Yeah, that looks like it's the artificial turf.
Artificial grass, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's the sixth house. It looks like they're installing it right now, so it may actually be sod. I kind of see the strips where they got it where it was rolled back out.
It's awfully green, but yeah, it looks like sod there. See how long
color balance. There may be a bit of color balancing going on there, Alex, too.
It's Texas. Give it a week; it'll be brown.
Yeah.
I'm in SoCal. When it's green out, it's concerning.
Yeah, I remember those days.
There's put grass. Yeah, is that James? The new restaurant's starting to get some. I guess they're just some conduits and so on getting put in their services.
Footings.
Yeah, there's actually formwork there for the actual footers. And
there is too. Yeah.
Looks like they already buried most of the plumbing.
True. So yeah. Okay,
Come on
so
now.
footings. Oh no, this side too. They're starting to work on.
And it still makes me chuckle that they did that little deck out there a couple weeks ago already, when the building's not even there yet.
So the workers and the residents can start having a view of the river. So our good friend Alaska Space, while he's visiting here, mentioning Chantal that these buildings in real life, when you visit down there, look a lot more fancy than they do even on these images here. They look pretty fancy to me on the images here. Okay, other sites around the place. We've got the steel storage site along Highway 4. So plenty more steel coming and going. Is that one of those massive forklifts you're looking for, expecting to arrive, BJ?
Yeah, it's one of the bigger ones. I think there's some actual bigger ones over at the Brownsville lot, but certainly on the larger side here. The way that they've been offloading, I don't think we're going to see any of the really big ones at the site. I think that larger Bobcat one that we've seen at Giga Bay is probably about as big as we'll see at the actual construction site.
When it takes time, you can pretty much place all of these columns where they're going to end up.
Another bit of feedback we got from the guys visiting Starbase was the sheer size of. Is there any here with the base plates? They're like 4-inch thick steel. These things are beefy.
Yeah, and that one actually that your hand is on right now is a good example of what Alex is just talking. Yeah, that one even too. That one you can tell is going to be in those doorways on the Star Factory side for the exterior wall, because where your hand is there, that's essentially the 5th floor to us Americans, and that's where the space below that'll be where the open doorway is likely at. The doorway may not be quite as tall as that. I could see there being the actual door header being a little lower, because I think that column, that level will be above the roof of the Star Factory. So, but we can see the way that that's constructed. There's a missing crossbar there.
Cool. And at the Brownsville, like we were talking about just a second ago, there's stacks of steel here as well. Oh, these are the bigger ones.
Yeah, that one is pretty. I think the yellow one that's back there is similar to the other one, but those are like, I think they're 55 ton. I think they're like, I forget what the company name is. We were looking. I was looking at it a few weeks ago when Zach had brought a picture to me of them from the ground.
Yeah, some of these staged columns you can really appreciate their base plates. I know, was it 2 or 3 weeks back, BJ? you're pointing out by the parking structure. There's a couple of really good shots of those.
Yeah, the three particular ones that were along the garage that had gussets going in three different directions. Those base plates were huge. I know in one of last week's highlight videos from NSF, just to kind of give reference, there was some ground video that they included in there that you could see the guys holding the base plates, and those base plates are probably upwards of 4 inches thick just by how the guy's hand is holding the base plate.
Yeah, the bores.
He's a beefy boy.
The anchor bolts were quite impressive. You could probably put your hand through them. Just about.
Okay. Quick. We looked at that one. This side here seems to be clean. Is this the site you're saying seems to be cleaned up a fair bit?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have the crane that was BJ at.
Yeah, these are some of the parts from the LTM 1500 that lifted the test rig up onto pad 20M. Bit curious that some of the parts are still here. Not sure if maybe it's coming back at some point, or if maybe it's just a logistical situation of Maxim getting enough trucks to bring all these trailers back home.
Is that all it did? This crane? What else did it do?
That's all it did.
Oh, that's interesting.
It lifted it up on place, and then I think it made the first rotation or two before the LR 11,000 was available to come over and take over. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. The fact that like the wing set and a few other parts arrived with it, it makes me think that it may have come here directly from another site that was using the extra parts, or maybe, like I said, maybe it's going to come back and do some other things at a later point, and they're just staged here instead of taking them away.
So it's probably just brought here because the LR 11,000 was out of action just to fill in for a few days, yeah?
Yeah, if it was only brought here for that one job, yeah, it had to have been. I know Marvin was taking a little bit of time in terms of getting working. I mean, it was raised and lowered 2 or 3 times, and some other work was done. So it's curious why, but yeah, it definitely seemed like they wanted to get that rig up there, and they weren't waiting for Marvin to be ready.
Very good. Just finally, along Highway 4, they've been repositioning the main power lines in readiness for the highway extension, or widening, I should say. And here we can sort of see where they're up to with that process. I wonder if they're doing this even live, you know.
Probably.
It looks like it.
Putting in a section and then switching it over. Alrighty.
Yeah.
So that's Massey's.
Do we know if these new lines are taller? I thought someone had said a couple weeks ago. Or are they the same?
Doesn't look like it.
That transition between that one and the middle pole seems like it goes up, but it's so hard to tell from the aerial.
Yeah,
Sure,
yeah, I'd agree. It kind of feels like it's a slightly higher pole, but yeah, it's hard to. I think this angle is going to be hard to make sure to be positive about that.
Okay, Sanchez. Let's start. I mean, we've got something good to look at over. Let's have a quick look over here first. So the new ship transport stand. We'll start there. So we're trying to work out last night. This is a new ship transport stand, and these pieces here got our curiosity up through the show and tell, and we're backwards and forwards. And I think Alex got to give us an idea this morning. What do you think that is?
They're for transferring the load to the 8-post systems that they're using on the current booster stand, so they're having a unified base.
So what we mean there is, over here, instead of having a separate station for ships, the ship stand will now be able to sit. This one's easier to see, but it'll be able to sit on this 8-post system that the booster sits on. And so they'll only need one type of base, is what we're talking about there, which is an awesome idea. So those little extensions are going to sit on the sides here And this side as well, there'll be extensions on this side here. Would they be, Alex?
Yeah, all 8 points are cantilevered out from the primary ring.
That's what we're seeing here.
Yeah, the two longer sections. The shorter fill pieces only obviously have one of the bump outs on one end.
Oh, it's in, I can't quite see it. It's in here, is it?
Yeah, and on the
Oh, I
other
just see
one,
it now. I can see it. Yep.
yeah, there's a couple shots that showed a bit more clear.
Yep. Thanks. Yep.
Yeah,
And so just that section there will sit here, and those outer protrusions will sit on these racks out here.
yeah, because what's currently in place is just the fixture jig / fixture for assembling the stand.
So that one there probably goes up here. Is that right?
It got dealer's choice. Those two are symmetrical.
Yeah, the bigger ones, will go in that bigger gap. Essentially, on those manufacturing stands, the big base holds the clamp surface, and then those four smaller ones that kind of stick off the end, those are what support the bridge sections during construction.
Okay. Yep. Through here. Yep. Gotcha.
I didn't realize they even it looks like they grouted the fixtures.
Yeah, you're right. They sure did.
It's going to be heavy.
Yeah, it definitely goes to what you were talking about earlier too, in the pre-show, talking about how it seems like those base sections have been installed there, purpose built to build more than one, and the grouting would definitely further that thought.
Yeah, kind of nice. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, I've been really happy to see this because I've never really liked that whole system. Well, this one kind of shows it, of having the chains. It's always looked a bit, I mean, considering it's the most advanced rocket in the world, whatever, it's being chained to SPMTs seems a bit funny to me.
There's one thing on that stand is that I haven't found any ports if they're going to ballast it with concrete. So they don't need to load up all the counterweights on the SPMTs.
Yeah, that would be a good idea, just so that all the counterbalance is actually in the stand itself as well.
Yeah, because that's the theory with the hot fire stand, that they filled some of the legs.
Yeah, okay, yep. So they don't need to use counterweights.
Yeah.
It just seems so logical to have something that they can all be used on. Even 2 years ago, when me and my daughter were down there, when you used to be able to get close to them, she even looked at them and said, "Why are they got different bases?" And because she'd noticed one empty area, and just she had noticed the difference. Like, you know what? I don't know, but it's really nice to see them change up and do this right.
Yeah, this image, the work platform for the hot fire stand is one of the reasons I personally think they're going to move the stand here to finish its fitting out.
And put this up underneath, ready for before they put a ship on.
Yeah.
It's going to be ages, obviously, before they put a ship on the stand, but
a month or two, but hey.
Yeah, I don't know that I would necessarily agree with there being any rush to bring it back over here. I mean, they could easily take this back to Massey's and continue working at it there. I don't know that I would agree that anything we've seen is going to say either direction on where they want to continue the work on it.
They did do the original one at Massey's, didn't they?
Yep.
We can see the bits and pieces here. We've got more of these sections. There was the access holes there on the last stand too. Got triangle pieces here to fill in, maybe in these sections just here. The rest of those sections. Up here, there's obviously something missing from here. We'll see that up at the launch site. The main BQD hoods have been moved to the launch site. We'll look at that later on. And they're still keeping these older parts here, which annoys some people, but anyway, that's a different story. Okay, I'll just move along a bit. Oh, excuse me. Move along a little bit. The next set of workstation elevator platforms are ready to go into Mega Bay 2. Are there still parts? They're assembling the next lot here. Is that the next lot being assembled?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's that? How many more of the sets they got to go now?
Just the last one that they're constructing right now. That set is the third. The painted set is the third. So they just need one more.
Excellent. Not sure what they're building here. There's a truss. It may be, and there appears to be lots of steel for this triangle, and these base plates suggest maybe this is going to be, if you put another triangle in here and another triangle in here, there may be some kind of truss beam of some description going on here.
A Warren Trust, if that's what they're doing. If you want to get extra pedantic.
Thank you very much. Bit of pedantic's good. And there's another little frame here getting constructed. Not really sure what that's to do, whether it's related to this or not, but probably not.
Similar to the ship nose lifter, but different.
Yeah, that other one with
Port.
the other, yeah, that one with the darker steel, kind of just based off of the component color and whatnot, screams to me as if it's going to be part of the Booster 18.3 test rig, but that's pretty, it's very anecdotal. So I don't know. It could be just about anything.
Before we move over there, we can see the last couple of pieces of that ship stand, sorry I meant to go to, is in here still. So all the parts of that first ship transport stand are in place.
There.
Okay, the big ticket item this week is, voila, the SQD arm extension. And it looks a bit more simple than the old one, maybe even a little bit smaller, lighter than the old one. And obviously it's not going to have as much, I'm trying to think of a nice word, stuff on here as the old one, like the claw and all the extra bits and pieces of the iterated and reiterated again, pad 1's SQD arm.
I don't know, it's kind of odd that it steps down.
This bit
rather
here,
than
yep.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, this kind of came out of nowhere. I don't think anybody caught this on the cams that this was out there until we saw this yesterday during the flight. I want to know where it came from because that was just out of nowhere.
The ground fab building.
Did it? Did they catch it, or is that what we're thinking?
No, if the square tube, if you go back a number of weeks, the piles have been shrinking.
I gotcha. Thank you.
Where were they stacked?
They were scattered about. Originally, I thought they were disappearing for making more pipe rack for their pipeways, but after seeing this, it's kind of more apparent where it was disappearing to.
Okay, yep. It's always good to look back in hindsight at older photos.
Yeah, it's very similar, at least from altitude, size-wise, as the pipe stand tube dimensions.
Yep.
So we don't see how the ship QD is going to attach to it.
Actual QD, yeah, and whether it goes inside here. I was talking on the show and tell whether it's going to be like a linear thing or it's going to be up on top to allow. Looks like this gap. Looks like this opening here may be the room to allow the flex, maybe allow flex hoses to come through.
The primary cryo, if you look at the other arm, is coming across the top. But yeah, potentially it's gonna have a J bend under there.
Okay, we'll go to the ship QD. So there's probably an hour's worth of conversation with that actual arm. We won't do that today. We did that in show and tell. If anyone's interested in joining show and tell, it's a good session. We talk about a lot of those things in a great great more detail with a few other people talking as well. So becoming a Patreon member or even a YouTube member, it's well and truly worthwhile for that. So just on that quickly though. So we're, oh, that's not a good shot. There's a better shot here, hang on. If we remember up in here, we can see there's going to be the one in air brackets, a hinge point, and then the brace over the back there, the rod over the strut, yeah, over the back there. So that'll be very similar here with the mounting points down here.
If you look, you can see all the strut mounting holes on that end.
So expect that at least to be very similar. And it took me a minute to work out which way around it goes. It goes this. Ooh, hang on, I've got it wrong again.
Yeah, down into the ground. The best way I describe it is down into the ground. It'll be it'll be buried if you were to attach it right now.
I had it in my head, and I just tried to explain it. Just went out of my head.
You can use the railing to help, where it's gonna rotate this 90 degrees upwards.
Yes, correct. Yeah, and this section here, this is that part where they connects to the tower once it's attached to the ship. They put a pin in this at the tower to lock it in place. This week we see all of the swivel joints in place, and as we see when we get to the launch site, we can see just how close this thing is to being lifted. So I guess we'll start seeing some scaffolding removed. Will be a good indication that they're getting ready to transport it. Still seems to be a lot going on still with it, with the welding cables and what have you still in amongst it. So there's still a bit going on. You can see some electrical conduit work going on here. So there's still a little bit of fiddly things still to hook up. But it shan't be too long. I guess the big difference here is all the equipment here in this part of the arm, as opposed to over here. There was a lot of equipment up in here, and this whole mess in here. I imagine we're just going to see basically the cryo lines and the gas lines, and that's about all on this arm, rather than all this stuff. And perhaps even this whole platform system may be different or not even existent. Of course, none of the claw stuff will be on the new arm, so it'll be significantly lighter, which will help the arm retract quicker, we're hoping. Okay, let's see where we're up to. Let's have a quick look over here. They've got tarps on the roof and on the doorways now of this old generator plant. So maybe they're doing stuff inside. Maybe they're filling the walls in. Maybe this building's going to be repurposed for some kind of storage or construction area, perhaps.
Continue a new maintenance yard.
Yeah, maybe even so. It'd make good garages, wouldn't it, like for maintenance? That's a good thought, actually. Yep. Okay, on to the scrapyard. It's getting smaller and smaller. They're moving the walls more and more here and there. We can see the last, not the last set, but one of the sets of, we're just talking about the platforms for the elevators on the workstations in the Mega Bay 2. So here's an old set being pulled apart, scrapped. There's still a few older parts here to be scrapped. How do we think that ship transport stand should be ready to go before they need it to put a ship on, if they still got to run the ship backwards and forwards to the launch site on the cryo stand and on the static fire stand? It's going to be a little bit of time before they need the new ship transport stand. So I mean, and we think they can actually take the ship to the launch site on the static fire stand, so it may be a bit of time before they actually need the new ship transport stand.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Now that we've seen that they're actually starting to get that built, and I could see. I mean, we kind of suspected maybe the static fire stand could be used in the interim if they didn't build one, but with them starting a construction on them, maybe that won't necessarily be a plan in the near future if they can get that stand done in time.
Would it take less than 2 months to build the hot fire stand?
So given that should be able to almost build a transport stand quicker than that. Is that what you're trying to say, Alex?
Yep.
Cool, yep. Okay, booster 17. It is getting disassembled slowly. They're gnawing away at it slowly. They've taken some chines up and they've been removing COPVs. You can see they've even hooked up their little gantry crane to help with that.
Can't wait
was
for
it.
the CO2 tanks to go away.
Yep, so it's CO2 tanks on the front. It was joked in the show and tell that once these tanks come up to reuse them, they'll be getting a very thorough inspection. As a reference to Ship 36 event, energetic event. So they built scaffolding around here. Now they're still probably more than likely go to the Mega Bay to actually get finally disassembled. So maybe they've just put the scaffold here for now, and then once it gets to Mega Bay, they can use the scaffold to cut the methane tank off and start its scrappage.
I mean, it's right by the common dome, so if you were going to slice it and chomp it from the top down, that would be
Good place to start, yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to work at SpaceX, but no, not up that high. Yeah, no, thank you. Goodbye. I'm done. Bye.
Apparently you get used to it real quick, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. I used to like heights. When I was younger, I used to be able to run around heights easy. These days, I don't know, you seem to lose your nerve as you get older. I'm not sure. Maybe you get more cautious as you get older.
Well, I'm glad it's not just me. I was the same way, Steph.
Okay, Todd. So the crane inspection basket is your kryptonite.
No.
No sense of adventure.
Like Steph said, not my age now. No more. I'm good.
So I was surprised to see this move. So we can see it. Where is it? We can see the pipe.
It's hiding in it's hiding in the top right corner. It's hidden behind a couple of those structures there. You need a reverse angle to see that pipe, the cryo pipe that you're probably discussing.
Yeah. So it's just, is it even there? Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's in behind there and comes out around on this quarter, I think. So I expected to see this stay at Massey's, and they're just going to bring the 39.1 test article and just put it on with a crane, but obviously that's not their plan. They've brought it here instead.
Since it probably needs to be welded down to the transfer plate.
Okay, because there's no clamps.
Yeah, they moved the other one just like this is 18.2 or 3.
Yeah, 18.3 was when 18.3 was welded to the old can crusher base.
Yep, that makes sense. Yep. This is the new install jig for the raceway and the booster. It's a little bit different. It has more of these, led to believe, there's more of these little pop-ups than the older one. Tabs, whatever, yeah.
It's funny that both of them are about the same level of construction.
Oh, there's another one, yes. Sorry.
Yeah, and I would actually say that it's probably actually not for booster. I would actually suspect that they're actually the two jigs for ship. Even towards the latter V2 hardware, the booster was having its pipes put on just loose, and it was only the ship that was using a jig for its installation of the auto gen and raceways.
Oh, thanks, BJ. Cool. Over here's the ship in the night. They slipped this through without many people seeing this one. So they brought the booster cryo stand over here. Hopefully ready soon enough for booster 18. So we should see booster 18 roll out maybe next week, the week after. It should be very soon though. Maybe this week, depends how quickly they've gone from stacking. I mean, it should roll out with all the chines and tanks installed, yeah?
I would expect any hardware that's necessary to be underneath them. I wouldn't be surprised if the covers are still missing for this initial cryo stand since it's a new vehicle.
I didn't think they pressurized high pressure systems before they did their proof test, but
yeah, I don't know the processes, but I would think that they would want those systems at least installed.
Okay, I think we've covered everything. Sanchez, have we got any questions for Sanchez there, Alex B?
Yeah, so we've got one that we haven't answered. We've got, are they going to replicate the SQD arm for Tower A and move the hinges higher up the tower, in quotations, an extra one like for Tower B?
So talking to Ryan Hansen and his measurements with the tower height and the height of the new launch table, they could even actually have to bring this down a little bit. So I'm not sure about that yet, exactly how high or low this has to go at the moment.
the bases, I forgot what the height difference between the two of them. But it's an awkward.
So yeah, by Ryan Hansen's measurements, it's actually could possibly even have to be lowered because it's all going to be different with the different height of the top of where the clamps on the new flame trench. So not exactly sure yet. It's not quite as obvious as you might think.
I would, if I were speculating, it would be the extension. They would just step it down a little bit lower rather than.
Yeah,
but they're probably going to pull the whole arm off anyway to re-engineer it to eat. But all the mounting points on the tower are sort of staggered for the floor levels. So if you're moving it, half a floor down, that gets all the work platforms and where the valves and everything are installed in an awkward position.
Just got some more questions coming. We might need a little bit more clarification on this one from the poster, but they said, would it be feasible to use a spray-on rubber membrane and then pressure behind it to force fuel transfer?
Yeah, the membrane. There are not very many substances that will remain their elasticity at those cryogenic temperatures, so no.
And
The
then
easiest is settling it with a little bit of force. It doesn't take too much.
Then we've got one from Ben Creasy Vision. Any sign of activity behind Mega Bay 1? Not sure what that's in reference to. Maybe the Raptors?
There's the two. I thought they were there last week as well. The RVAC cases.
Yeah, I believe those have been there for a little bit.
More dumpsters.
Well, they'll probably be throwing out a load of old V2 hardware, won't they?
At all their storage areas, they're cleaning it all up.
And then finally, can we tell how much difference between the previous QD arm and the new one?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
The main arm is very similar. All the systems from the end have been moved inside, and the extension is quite different. Obviously, and the rest we'll have to wait to find out.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I was just gonna say we're expecting it. Yeah, we're expecting it to be much lighter on the end.
Yeah, all this rubbish. There'll be none of this rubbish. It'll all be gone. And a lot of systems, as we already know, sitting in here. And then most of this, it should be, like I said, there should only be a a couple of just the main lines through here. There shouldn't be anything in here except the actual commodities lines and some electrical, obviously.
And another question coming in, sorry, from Kai Nessel. Any idea what the grey triangle frame is going to be, just underneath that area there?
Not really.
I'll take my biggest speculation that I threw in last night during show and tell is that maybe it is some of the turntable side of the Gigabay support frames for that are going to hold those partitions in position until they get to the point where the exterior wall is actually complete across that side, which is obviously getting just a hair ahead of our next conversation. But that's about the only thing I can think of. I think maybe in a week's time, when we see a little bit more of what they turn into, we might have a better idea where they go.
So in here, BJ, saying in these gaps in here, aren't you?
Yeah, we've seen in the Roberts Road images that to kind of bridge that gap, there's some temporary structures to hold those doorways open up until they get to that next wherever the level is where that header is going to go across, and then it actually turns into a wall. There's some structures in there that also that are supporting the walls, but also supporting the tower crane bases as well, or the towers for the braces. I'm wondering if how some of those plates are in there. If some of those the gusset plates, instead of it extending into additional structure that would make it a truss, perhaps those gussets are there to help somehow attach it to the structure of the frames. But that's one of my only guesses.
Okay, that's a good segue into the build site. Any more there, Alex B?
Nope. We're just questions about the launch site now.
Sure. And I agree, BAJ. The new executed arm is significantly more tidy, and he's sort of relating it to the version 3 Raptor. It's a lot more tidy with all the plumbing sort of out of the way. Okay, on to the build site then. Thank you. Thanks for your questions. Keep them coming in. It's good to have questions. That timing's working well. On to the Gigabay. I might leave this to BJ again.
Yeah, it's amazing what 24 hours will do. This flyover is quite outdated already compared to from what they've been doing. One of the things that kind of started out as that they've definitely kicked it into another gear of progress. We've been over the last about half a week. We've seen that some of the tower cranes on the garage side have been working overnight times. They've actually been working all day today, so they're actually now working into a 7-day a week, potentially at least somewhat 24-hour schedule with operations. So they've really working along that the corner up by Mega Bay 1. All of the columns that were delivered I think they were delivered on Friday. They were stood up overnight, so they're well into constructing that corner now. The other end has seen the next partition wall has been stood up, and I think last I looked, the beams are almost complete on that entire section just since yesterday. So they're definitely moving along, making it a priority to get going.
So much steel, so much steel. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think we've seen about a dozen columns arrive today for the front for that what would be the upper right hand corner by the Star Factory, and that kind of in the middle wall there. There's a bunch of columns staged for the far end. It's kind of hard to say exactly. I mean, there's so much steel everywhere now. It's hard to even describe how well they're coming along. A lot of flooring getting put in now. I would say we're probably about 2 weeks maybe, and we'll probably start seeing that next level columns start to go up. I think it's more than a week of time right now, but they're getting really close.
Cool. And these obviously are going to be poured with concrete, these floorings.
Yep, all those ones are the kind of the main floors are all the corrugated. What some of us are calling intermediate levels there in the middle at the workstations. They've got actually flat steel floors, and you can see they're actually installing those as they go. One of the things I noticed last night too is that, interestingly, here in the partitions, we can see how there's a kind of an opening at the end of all these partition walls for a staircase. They obviously the panels that are on those partition walls are solid. They'll have to come and cut them out. But you can see on the third level, on the third floor there, that the framing is not there, so that whatever kind of access from the ground level is only going to go up. It's not going to go all the way up to the very top of what we're seeing there now.
Cool. All these fine details. Very good, BJ. Thank you.
Hey, Steph, I'm going to grab a quick question from Dr. Leichenstein asking how the tower cranes will be uninstalled when they're finished. The stacking sections will be removed just like they're placed in. The cranes will pull them out. They will lower themselves till they get to the lower point. And then they will bring another crane in just like before, take it out the top. The roof won't be on until these are gone. And they left room down the aisles to take stuff out the bottom. So they will just be removed exactly like they were put in reverse.
The one note that I will say on that is that it's likely that, well, I shouldn't say likely. I would envision that the booms will be removed by a crawler crane from the exterior, and then that same crane may actually do the removal of the panels coming out, or the roof will just be left that much farther open for the crane to kind of bring itself down. I'm probably 50-50 on whether it uses its own boom to actually get down or not.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
The other thing that touched on was the different levels of reinforcement of the wing walls and the center spine. The factory side, they have additional bracing that is missing from the other, that you can't get from this angle.
Well, yeah, a little bit. I mean, a lot of that bracing in the exterior is, is quote unquote the same as the middle spine. Yes, there's yes, laterally.
The interior facing the factory has cross bracings that isn't present on the other two walls. No, you can't. You have to look at the angle facing, as well as the center column is being substantially braced, different than the rest of the structure.
Yeah, you can see it from this one, the one that Alex is talking about there. It's the ones that are the short span, not the long span that he was talking about. But yeah, the partitions on the actual workstations don't have that. Which is interesting. Even in the middle, I could understand it because I don't think any of the actual roof structure is going to go to the partitions. But I would have almost expected that on the garage side to be a mirror image, but it's not.
Exterior garage sides, they have room for their diagonal bracing.
Yeah, and the actual play because of the lack of doorway space, because the openings aren't there.
Oh, this shows this wall section really good in this photo. It's got a wall section here, and over there they don't have a wall section.
Yeah, that's one that you can go to the storage lot and size up the gussets to figure out where columns are going.
It's like a big IKEA set place. Stick A next to stick B.
Yeah,
there you go.
The center column, truss column, has quite a bit of buttressing.
Yeah, and even some of there's even more buttressing in some of those sections than what Roberts Road even has.
Cool. So that's the Gigabyte.
And actually, let's go. If you can go to the top left here, one thing that I know a lot of people have asked about the elevators and the staircases. Since we finally have a corner wall done, we can actually see in this frame now. You can see the elevator pit in the middle, and you can see the opening in the middle bay of that. It's a little hard to see, but you can also see that there's an opening here closer to the door opening. So that's an elevator, the elevator shaft there, and then there's an opening closer to the doorway that is a staircase that goes next to each one. Essentially, if it's the same as Roberts Road, the 4 corner elevators each have a staircase right next to it, and then there's a staircase at one of each of the 2 pairs that are in the middle aisle. But obviously, we don't have a confirmation on that since they haven't started building it yet.
By the center, if you look at the top beams, they have the double beam with the step in, as if they're going to drop a stairwell.
Yeah, I actually just noticed that recently, just now, in the very middle of the center wall, which Roberts Road doesn't have that. If you go to the right, Stephanie, you can see that one just left of the center partition. You can see that there's a.
There's
Yep.
a header.
So to the right, just a little bit. It's the second bay that has flooring prepped on it.
Nope, too far.
Nope. Yeah.
Up,
Yep, just
right
above.
there.
Yep, right above. You can see the extra framing that Alex was just talking about. It's similar to how the end of the partitions, you can see the extra framing on the top edge of that bay, just to the left of your hand and up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep, right there. So that's the similar structure that we're seeing at the end of all the partitions, that there may be a staircase rising through there as well.
And it continues down to the other levels. Yeah.
Talk about trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't even in last night and every time and this morning I didn't notice those until just now during the stream that those were actually there.
But now I can't unsee them.
Yeah, it's funny because those are the things I've been watching as best I can, watching the Roberts Road stuff, and as you see it all, there's these tiny little differences between the two bays. They're not carbon copy of each other.
What's going on? Oh, chat's having a bit of a joke there. Very good. All right. Concentrate.
Share with the class. Share with the class.
Sorry?
Share with the rest of us. Some of us don't look at comments.
I'll have to leave that to Todd. I can just see them having a conversation. I haven't got time to actually read it, but I see they're having a bit of
It's an
something
interesting
about.
conversation.
The question was asked, how do they go to the bathroom up there? Some people noted that some of them have bathrooms and some of them have use garments, I guess you would say. And I do recall one of them actually having a chute that goes straight down to a porta potty.
I was so excited to get to ask that question.
Sorry.
I was so
Come on,
excited.
let's get all Victorian. They have chamber
There-
pots.
Yeah,
I should mention we probably need to go through some of the questions because there have been a
Oh,
flood
sure.
of questions. So I'll just go through like half of them now. One from Stephen Lewis. Any word on why the crane went whirling or whirlywig?
No, this one here for a little while last week decided to start going around and around and around all by itself. And it wasn't weather vaning because none of the others were doing it. And weather vaning doesn't make them spin. But yeah, it was just slowly rotating.
Turbulence off the Gigabay. So you had a curl. And that was
I
all
think it was that.
Yep.
Ah, so it was weather vaning.
Now-
Another one. Oh, yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously if there's a major shift in the wind, it has to powered rotate itself at least in a general direction. My understanding that like true weather veining, the wind itself does it, but it can't make a large directional change that way. So it's still using anemometer sensing essentially, and potentially that the megabay was giving some false readings, which was then making it think it needed to rotate so that it could be in the proper orientation to passively go. That's just my theory on it.
And then we've got a question from Dr. Lichtenstein. How will the tower cranes be uninstalled after they're finished?
I think we touched on that earlier.
Oh, yep. And then we've got one from Mac UK. Will they put some sort of sand equipment in before boxing the building in roof etc?
The work stand stuff, you mean?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
maybe not
it's
work
hard to
stand.
tell. I mean, it's hard to tell given the fact that 4 of the work stands are going to need the cranes removed potentially to even start putting that hardware in because of how close they are. It's hard to tell whether they'll outfit them before tower cranes and use the tower cranes to outfit, or if it'll be outfitted after the fact.
And then we got another one. Are they going to use external supports like they use in the mega bays? And I can answer that. They aren't. It's going to be fully internally supported. as we've seen on renders, and also if you look inside, it's quite a bit more full than the mega bays.
Yeah, the first bay essentially, the first bay on the internal there essentially is the equivalent of the external structure, not the partitions, but the actual wall, the quote unquote wall. I have a hard time calling it a wall because it's more of a corridor, but most people, I think in general, we could call it a wall ish.
We got. Do you? Oh, do you wanna go?
It's just a truss section. And I'm with BJ. It's more of just a walkway pass through than an actual wall.
Yeah, it's a misnomer.
And then we got from Mokita. Do you think the other floors will go faster since they've nearly placed all of the ground columns?
I do think they're going to start speeding up. One of the things we actually saw from Rover 1 this morning is they have actually started pre-assembling partition framework on the ground and lifting them as a frame instead of stick building them. So I think there's definitely some potential that they're going to start speeding up some of the sub-assemblies.
I believe last week's flyover might have had a shot of that, BJ.
I remember somebody saying something about pre-assembling some, but I have in the ground in watching Rover 1, I've never seen them lift a pre-assembly. They've been down the middle spine, what we've been calling K braces in Rover 1 chat. With those there's a gusset beam that has two braces on it. They've been pre-assembling those on the ground, but that's the only pre-assembly that I'm aware of anyone seeing up until this morning.
Okay. That's what I was referring to from last week.
Yeah, but we saw on the partition wall for 23-24, which is that front left bay in this current angle view. We actually saw an entire bay, both outer columns, the inner, everything, the whole thing went up as one. They stopped short of putting the actual panels on it, but because I think it was the third level, it was the second intermediate, so it wouldn't have. It'll eventually get them separate, but yeah, so they're definitely speeding things up.
And the column joints have the mating flanges already welded onto them, so it's less fiddly when you're installing them than leveling out the base plate.
And then we got another one from Mokita. This is more of a statement and a question. The far right side is for stacking based on the layer spacing. That's probably where the welding robots will go. The other rows have multiple layers for easier access. What do you think?
Concur. That's what we've been talking about for a while, and but yeah, it'll be curious to see how these intermediate levels go as we go higher. We haven't seen close enough views to see if it's going to continue, but these extra levels don't actually reach far enough to get to the vehicles, but they will probably line up with the outfitting in the future.
And we got one from Wrangler. Does it look like there are any weather reinforcements against such things like hurricanes or big wind events?
Yes. All the columns and outer walls and the inner wall was being built as truss structures for load transferring.
And then we got one from Henry S. Will gigabit have a work area on top like the megabits?
Yes, we're anticipating. Yes, the renders suggest that there's going to be some kind of space on top, whether it's work or recreation. We don't know.
And a question from Apollo: would the building be attached to the Star Factory?
Yes, it will eventually be connected.
And
not so much connected, I guess, just the roof bridging the two. It's not like in quotes connected, is it? Structurally, it's more like just a roof section, isn't it?
I mean, that technically that building is made up of several sub buildings.
Sure, the same. Yeah.
And last but not least, I want to say thanks to Jacques for the one gifted RGV aerial member. So that's it for Mega Bay questions. Oh, there's another one. Sorry. Final one. Are they lifting columns at night, or just beam floors?
Everything. They actually the back corner. In this angle, the back right corner. So workstation 19 corner and the other end where the columns were raised last night.
So yeah, Megabay questions are all done now.
Gigabyte, thank you.
Yeah, Gigabyte.
A bit of work going on in Megabay 1. Perhaps they're still modifying the middle workstation for version 3 boosters. They got their nice logo there, the booster team, BT. We saw that last week too, I think, through the door. This stand here was moved to, where'd that go, BJ? Oh, that's right, around the back.
Yeah, we saw on Sapphire Cam it went towards the east side ring yard. Whether it continued into the Star Factory from one of those doors over there, I don't think we had a clear enough view just because of the long range lens on that vantage point.
I went in here somewhere, perhaps to go into one of these doors. Well, it wouldn't fit. I thought maybe that door, but it probably wouldn't fit through that door by the look of it. But these doors here, perhaps I could go into.
Yeah, the Tadano crane that lifted it onto the SPMTs by the Mega Bay followed it over here. So I would venture a guess that it's been staged outside and it hasn't gone inside, but that's a guess.
Yeah, there is a shot. You can just see booster 18 still, I think, in one of these shots. Yeah, booster 18 sitting still on that stand. Okay, up to Mega Bay 2, where we can see ship 39 has been removed from its temporary, which was kind of funny, up on wooden blocks on top of this workstation. I can just see, I think there, we could see the transfer tubes protruding below. And I called it on show and tell. The aft section was to roll in the next day or two. So the aft section actually rolled last night, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, right. During show and tell, I think, because I noticed when we went off that I went back to look at Rover 1, and there it was.
Yeah. So that'll be getting. Have they moved the ship since then, BJ? Over under the stand as well, under the.
Yeah,
cool.
presumably they hooked the two together with their little tandem lift system, and they floated the aft section and the door closed. So one would assume it's over getting welded right now.
Oh, they use that tandem lift. Cool, very good. And are they using the 4-point lifter for that now? Yeah, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. So it'll be a minute, and then we'll see the ship move over to one of the other stands, maybe that, or one of those two back stands, I guess, and then we may see ship 40 roll soon, the payload nose cone section. Nice to see. A bit of, then we should see some sort of acceleration in production of both ship and booster once these two first vehicles get finished. Okay, that's much of this side. We'll go around the back. Well, there a second ago. Not much around. What's going on the very back of the factory. And not much going on here as well. Oh, there was that little stand out the front of Mega Bay 1. Hang on. This funny little stand here.
Transfer tube.
Yeah, it was. We saw a while ago the ring out at the back reminded me there was some of those smaller barrel sections here that appear to be about the same size as that as well.
Lots of smaller barrels where it's a transfer tube size, but I could be mistaken. What are the large pipes to the right of that? Vaguely look like they're, chine related. Right diagonal up by the blue bin. Those, or they
Good thing. I'll look for a better shot here. Try this one.
Or was there last week, I believe, as well.
Oh, that's much clearer, that photo. Oh, they're actually tubes. Yeah. Interesting.
The one closer to the blue bin there, it looks bent at the end. Is that?
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah,
it
they
has a
look
kit.
like pickup tubes.
So I was sort of thinking, but
Oh, they got boxes on the end of each one, perhaps too.
Yeah, they almost look like HVAC ducting or something like that.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
some heavy duty ducting.
Yeah.
The voice of reason has spoken. Thank you, Cybertrucks. So,
I was wondering how long you'd hold out.
I did say well in the show and tell. I only said it once, I think.
I wasn't there.
Okay, the apartment block is, pretty well finished of the major construction part of it. A lot of outfitting and bits and pieces to go. This little steel part out the front.
Yeah,
There's
they're
a
already
reverse shotgun
putting
in there.
glass on the other side.
Shot, I think. Oh, that'll do. Yeah, we've got some glass panels going on the other side. Along here, which is nice. All the way up to the top of the parapet wall. Here it is. This is the shot I was looking for. Trying not to get everyone dizzy from zooming in. You can see more of the internal structures going in. And yeah, glass, obviously. Is this that roofing material they use like on the
Yes, it
office?
is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, insulation panels.
And for sloping for drainage.
Mm-hmm.
So they're using that on concrete as well, because that was mostly just steel on the factory, wasn't it?
No, it had a concrete roof put on before they added the
Oh,
slope
sorry,
insulation.
thanks. Sorry. I misremembered that. Thank you. Sorry.
The
Okay.
most of the factory was just a
Yeah.
corrugated steel.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the office. I heard one thing and interpreted it as the other.
Yeah, the mezzanine is built more structural.
Yeah, the factory isn't the I interpreted factory as office because I remember we talked about that when they were installing it all.
Is that
So
rack?
thanks, Peter. That's where I was
on-
confused. Yeah, this bit was a concrete roof, sorry, yeah, and that was a tin roof,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah.
Is that rack on down slightly? Was that there last week?
I don't
Not
recall.
sure. And did I? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm wondering, and wonder if that's looks like for Starlink.
So we saw that optical link get moved, I think, didn't we, through the week? Maybe you think maybe that's where that's going to go, Alex?
There's a lot of power going to it. Look at all the conduit.
I'm sure there's a closer photo of that. Hang on. It's only minor detail, but let's have a quick look.
Yeah, and it was interesting because the one that what seemed to be the one that we saw at the airport storage lot, and I remember this week I saw it go past Rover 1 going west, and then tracked it back. It came off of San Martin on Sentinel cam, so it almost seemed like they brought it there, and then it went away again for some reason.
Maybe I don't have a closer picture. Anyway, it's only minor
Yeah.
detail.
Maybe they need the new crane has enough reach to put it where it needs to go, and
Yeah.
that seems
So
to
the
be
other
the
end
new
of the village.
shiny.
Oh, sorry, Alex.
Oh, no worries.
On the other end of the village, a lot going on over this end. It's pretty well much finished what they're going to do. And with that, we'll take any last questions for the build site. Thanks, Alex B.
Don't think we have any new ones. Oh, we do have one. Are the cars on the top of the building just east of the Gigabay? Oh, sorry. Are there? Oh, sorry, not are there? Are there cars on top of the building just east of the Gigabay? I think they're talking about the
Parking structure.
yeah, the parkings. Yeah.
I hope that's what they're talking about.
Yeah. And we've got one. Is the 4-point lifter still in use? Thought they were doing it all the lifting by the catch points now. They are. They modified the 4-point lifter to use the catch points, and but they still have stabilization points, well, kind of that they lock into higher up on the nose cone. And when do you expect 39.1 to roll to Massey's?
Hopefully this week, maybe.
Fingers crossed.
Other than the stand coming here, there's no real good hints on when it's going to be ready.
We have seen photos of it inside of the Star Factory with sensors being applied to its tank walls, so hopefully that's a decent sign that it's going to be rolled soon.
The stand doesn't quite look ready to receive it yet.
Okay, with that, we'll move to the build site. BJ, can I just get you to talk for a minute? I've got to do something real quick.
Yeah, build site, or are we going to look at? We're going to look at the launch site first.
It's like the
I meant launch site. So.
Okay. Yeah, it's actually the destruction has commenced, and while we won't be able to see it from the flyovers, something that I was just kind of seeing as the show started was how that they've started actually working on getting the legs ready to topple, and it looks like they're going to tip them over just like they are, and nearly identical to how I envisioned them doing it many weeks ago. We actually saw them peel part of the steel off of one section and then started hammering out the concrete in there. So turning out just kind of how I thought it would be.
It's pretty much identical to how they remove overpass columns in SoCal. They did the quick and dirty seismic upgrade by installing casings like they have here on some of them, and then as they're replacing them, you'll peel back the pipe essentially and just jackhammer out and free the rebar, and then you fell it more or less like a tree.
Yeah, and just like at Gigabay, where we talked about how things really had changed rapidly in the last 24 hours, this site is no different. On that right-hand leg, which I believe is leg number 3, is the official one with the staircase. That cladding on the side that we see and the staircase itself have been peeled away since earlier this morning.
And yesterday afternoon and evening, they made quick work of the doghouse propellant lines.
Yeah, they're showing no mercy to this thing.
Yeah, even the cladding on those main prop lines is gone. I saw them. It looked like they're starting to weaken some of the brackets for the pipes themselves. And yeah, I think the doghouse one that you were talking about, I think we saw on the other side they had just pretty much taken an excavator to it and just ripped it off.
Yeah.
Certainly make a loud noise when it's going to fall. That's for sure.
That's why they
Thanks,
put all
Peter.
that dirt there.
Yeah, I doubt that's going to do much to stop the sound, considering how heavy those things probably are.
Just a quick shout out to Sean Geisler, some of his ground photography. He's invited me to use his images as I see fit. So can get some of the 3D render guys like Ryan Hansen have been really enjoying these images and getting some of this awesome detail. Now it's being disassembled, and they're fairly happy with some of their I wouldn't call it guesswork, but like educated guesswork, or sometimes they only get to see through a tiny little hole to see something, and they extrapolate from that. So they're fairly happy with their what they've come up with. There's some really nice, really close-up images here from Sean. So be sure to go and check out Sean over on X, and we can see some of the massive silent human for scale. Just how big some of this sort of infrastructure really is. Some of these photos, I have seen things for the first time I hadn't seen before, like to do with the QD, the booster QD covers and so on. So thanks, Sean. Doing excellent work out there at Starbase.
Yeah, the QD, the booster QD door Ryan Hansen has a very good model of it, of how that mechanism works, which is probably going to be very similar to the way the clamp doors are going to be on pad B.
Yeah, Tim, I noticed they slowly, gently lowered that section down with the excavator. I think it ended up going right over to the. Didn't it end up falling right over to the barrier here? So I didn't want to actually crash it down and break the barrier as they lowered it. Was that one that did that? Doesn't look like it's far enough over. Maybe it just didn't. Maybe it was just a trick of the camera.
I think they put piled dirt there.
Maybe it was this barrier that it got lowered onto.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You're covering the Fondag layer. My analysis.
I didn't. Oh, a lot of dirt. Yeah, I didn't notice I put this barrier up too.
Yeah, that's like a meter thick of fill.
Okay, so you'd only cover the OLM, yeah?
Yeah, we didn't get too much into it. I was kind of talking mostly about the things that have happened this morning that we wouldn't be able to see from up above.
Sure, yeah, things are happening pretty quickly over this area as well. Okay, so moving over this way, because it's a good photo of it here, the whole fluids bunker's completely disappeared. I think we might have seen some steel go past and didn't quite realise what it was, but yeah, that whole fluid bunker's completely gone. They're still working on removing these two tanks. You can see all the plumbing cut.
They changed the lifting points on those two tanks.
They actually changed them, did they?
Yeah. They're angled as opposed to parallel like they were last week.
Okay, yeah. To put the rigging on, I guess.
They haven't disconnected them from the methane farm yet.
Okay. Oh, this is some of the other plumbing. Okay. Now, I did notice yesterday before this pipe stack's still venting, so would they still keep this system in place for now?
Currently, it's actively being used. They have no replacement yet. I mean,
which may be this tank over here.
If it is part of the reclamation system, I wouldn't call it a tank per se, but
sure, yeah.
But I know at some point there's some Sterling cryogenic equipment I think showed up, so they may or may not be using that same system, or they might be using the Sterling stuff for the depot for active cooling.
Cool. All of the Hippo foundations have been removed. This is all looking very cleaned out right now. So they haven't done much with the methane section this week.
Yeah, they've ripped out most of the plumbing that was between the kettle boilers and the supplies and outlets for the pumps.
On the side, yep. We should see the hippos removed soon.
Then they're probably going to start removing most of the culvert plumbing.
Yep, all this plumbing under the culverts here, yeah. Yeah, I expect them to be sooner or later. There was this, I suppose, jackhammer. I noticed last week this guy has some jackhammers around, maybe to start digging up the culverts too, eventually.
They're digging up, they're using those on the legs, but they've marked up on the concrete where the water lines are on the right side up by the temporary wall.
No, they're
right,
farther
the right
up
side by the berm, where the berm was.
Yeah, where the lock stump is.
Yeah, by the formerly the fluid bunker.
Yeah, where the lock's dump used to be, I should say. The lock's nitrogen dump.
Yeah, so they've marked out, so they're probably going to be digging that up in the nearest future.
Cool. Okay. I'll just swing around the tower, around the back. I'll try and get around the back of the tower here. They've pretty well completely taken the awning out.
And the cable chain.
The cable chain's been taken off. So expecting the whole QD arm to come down, aren't we?
I would.
Yeah, I totally think it will.
Yeah, I think it's impossible to do what they've done on the new QD whilst it's, 80 meters in the air.
They've modified the structure of how the actuator connects, so yeah.
So most of the awning here is gone, so they'll more than likely put in a new awning, and they're going to more than likely swap where the drawworks winch goes as well, in line with the new tower. So it's going to be a fair bit of work in here. I don't imagine they're going to strip all the plumbing out as well of this tower to upgrade it to the newer, larger pipes as well. I'm just wondering whether they're going to take the external staircase up as well and put it internal or not. We'll see about that in the near future.
Depends how much retrofitting they're going to do. I expect them to
tear it all
strip it
down.
bare too.
Bare frame, yeah, I imagine they're going to strip it to a bare frame too, except for the chopsticks. I think that's going to stay
don't
in situ.
I think they're
let's-
going to strip the chopsticks down, to be honest, to their bare
Oh
components.
yeah, they'll strip. Yeah, I mean they won't take the chopsticks up, but yeah, sure. I imagine they'll take. Well, they already have actually on the other side. They're already starting to strip the chopsticks.
Yeah, they removed the pushers and the actuators for the landing rails.
And they've
That's
stripped
right,
away
yeah.
where they're going to be cutting.
That's not the right photo. We'll get there in a minute.
That's some chopsticks.
it's chopsticks, sure. They've already taken. I'm trying to find that side. A lot of the hydraulics and off this arm, they've already started to take off some of the systems. I imagine all this will be stripped clean
Well,
and then start again.
they they've removed so far just what they need to trim the ends.
This photo should do it. Close enough. But yeah, like there seems to have been stuff down here all trimmed, removed. Yeah, we can see the marks here where they're going to trim it. That photo's not showing it well. Anyhow, that'll be the pad A. Pad 1. Lots of photos this week. Oh, Lock's Farm's completely gone. Okay, we'll move around the front towards the pad B.
Just gonna say, I do have a question regarding the tank farm.
Sure.
So they said. So Chris Nett said, "Do you think the hot dog tanks at the port will replace the smaller methane tanks at the launch site?"
I think those are for the ASU.
Yeah, because it's with all the ASU stuff, isn't it?
Well, it's easier to have the transferred in large sections and try and just trickle it over. Unless they start swapping out, which they very well may, because I don't expect this pipeway to last. With vacuum jacketed, then it'd be easier for them to start doing trickle transfers, but until then, there's substantial heat loss you'd get with their current system.
Okay. Let's move over to pad 1. No, pad 2, sorry. That building's still there.
Are you filled with sadness because they're paving around it now too?
no.
It's not going, Steph. Sorry.
Looks like it. I'm gonna have to eat my words there, I think. Never mind.
Do
What's
we
this
know
guy
what they're
doing?
doing with it?
Currently, I mean, I think half of it's going to go away. And it'll
I almost feel
currently,
like they're turning it into like a break area or something.
well, it's their main, where all the controls and telemetry are coming. But at Massey's this week, it looked like they're stretching fiber. So they might be consolidating and sending stuff, wrapping it and sending it down a normal TCP line. But for real-time operations, that gets dicey.
Okay, on to this SQD lift quickly while we're here, since we're on this photo. This was mentioned earlier at Sanchez that they're definitely getting ready to lift the SQD here. They've got a crane pad here getting leveled out to put the crane on, and they've got all their pneumatic equipment set out, ready to go. And BJ, I like what you're saying about this air equipment, what they're going to do here with it, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, for those who watched when the chopsticks were installed, essentially they use these same air-powered hoists for leveling out the chopsticks and installing. The benefit they had there with the chopsticks is it was really low, and they just disconnected all the lines and rehooked them up to the ground. But because the SQD is so much higher on the tower, essentially they've got all this equipment here. They've got the two yellow lines running up the tower that can power the hoists while they're up at the installation height. And then they'll just run separate lines to the air compressors to power those hoists to get it leveled out while it's on the ground before they raise it up. But obviously they're not going to be able to get it precision leveled out when they first lift it. And then those lines will be up top again that they can reconnect them into the tower lines to get it nice and level, get it to where it needs to be so that they can actually get it into the hinge points. So that's what we're seeing. That's what I think we're seeing there in terms of why there's two lines going up to the tower already. It's just pre-preparation. And then there by your hand, we've got the next step too that we saw that they started line boring the actual hole for the actuator mount.
Yeah, I think also, BJ, is any sort of shifting in the load when they're lifting it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as it kind of moves and whatnot, all those slings and things like that are gonna kind of adjust themselves as it tensions itself.
Right. Then
Got some of the rigging here, and these are the actual pneumatic chain hoists that BJ was just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And at the bottom frame by the wall is the door for the lock side.
For down here at the door.
Yeah, you can't see it in this one, but it's pretty much directly down by right there. The silver box is the door, the lock's door.
Beefy doors. Man,
This one they got pre-hung because reasons.
Oh, this is the markings for the crane base.
Yeah, before we get too far from the SQD arm, we should probably go over there by that temporary wall and show the actuator that was transported. I know Vix was asking about it in chat earlier, and I'm sure lots of people will be interested to know that it's there if they didn't see it. But yeah, it's this angle. It's hidden behind one of those temporary the A-frame barriers.
Any idea what those very four large columns are by their air compressor is?
So there's the actuator arm for the SQD arm. Now, sorry, Alex.
Right by the white air compressors, there's four very large columns. Yeah.
I saw that in the last image.
I think they're columns. I thought those were base plates, but
Yeah, to me it looks like it might just be columns that get installed somewhere, or beams actually. The flanges on both ends almost make it look more like a beam that'll get installed somewhere up there. I'm not quite sure what they're for though. Being in the area of the SQD installation stuff, it almost makes me think it has something to do with that.
They're just quite.
They are,
Quite
yeah, they're definitely
robust.
strong. And one thing that we didn't actually talk about when we were looking up at the top of the tower, there's a new plate that's been added near one of the hinge points. It looks like it might be a support bracket for the cryo piping on the below the swivel joints is my best guess. Or it could be for some of the other piping or something, but there is a new bracket up there.
So I'll try and find that tower shot. Hang on. Is this shot?
Yeah, it's a little bit in distance, but you should be able to see it. It should be at the hinge point that's not used. It's just below the. Actually, yeah, it's right there. Yep. It's in. Yeah, the only other thing I could think of too with those other beams, if those beams are related to the access, I know that just above to the right there is where the access is to get onto the chopstick or onto the SQD arm from the tower, or at least one of them. I think there's multiple ones there, but just at the top of the cable chain, there's a little jut out down and to the left. But
Yeah,
I'm grasping at straws probably on what those four those four pieces of steel are for.
They put a lot of catwalks exterior between the where lots of propellant lines are running. But yeah, that center is interesting. I haven't lined it up with the swivel joints.
Yeah, it seems like it's on the wrong side. I think the swivel joints, in theory, would be on the left-hand side of the axis of the hinges, but I think that's just I think that's right, but it could be the other side. I think because the SQD arm is sitting on its side, just like everybody, it's like, okay, so how does that orient to the tower?
I think they all are facing the Highway 4 side from the arm. So
yeah, that's my interpretation too.
Yeah, they're coming left to right, but yeah, I know what that was very curious. Everybody have a drink.
All right. We can move on to the actual clamp arm testing. What are they calling it? Ibuprofen rig?
They're proof testing, yeah.
Ibuprofen, then IB moving. Proof testing, yeah.
IB rotating.
IB rotating.
The IB is making it for lots of fun comments everywhere.
Could those columns be temporary stands as they're rotating the SQD arm on the ground? I was just asked by Crane Man. It's far on that.
Maybe. I wouldn't discount it.
They're pretty beefy. But sure. Okie, so we think that this is, Alex was saying, mostly to pull up on these clamps, yeah?
Yep. And it's more likely, besides checking the hold down, but also if the main cylinders, it's moving the support arms in and out.
And some side load as well on them.
Very little, but yeah. To do the side loads, they have to unload and move the actuators to shift the center reaction beam left or right.
Yeah, I think Ryan Hansen kind of talked about it a little bit the other night, and I think he's kind of on the same line that it would be a slight, maybe like a 1 degree vector on it. It's not really a true side loading; it's just kind of an off, not quite perfect, not straight up. Because one of the things that I think you can see in the actual T arm, and I think it has something to do with the reasoning why there's that extra spacer block on the one ram than the other is it's not the receiver for the clamp in the bottom is not straight is not parallel to the center line of that frame. It's actually twisted a little bit. Or at least that's how I see it. So when they're pulling straight up, that T isn't a straight up and down T. It's like slightly angled to do that straight up pull.
You can torque it though to have it the lower pivot rotate laterally, and there's the two very large pistons running longitudinally, which are to brace that, because if they're lifting up against the main clamp arms with them disconnected, with the way the beak is being pulled on, it would want to travel in an arc, so to counter that force on the reaction beam to keep it in a planar vertical transition.
Yeah, and while we're zoomed in too, I just wanted to. I don't know if anyone even noticed it, because I don't think we talked about it last night. Crayman actually had put it just recently. There's a whole bunch of new little steel structures in between the arms here. There's a kind of that L-shaped one there. There's a bunch of other ones that are all the way around. There's not any pattern to it, but there's a whole bunch of pieces in there. I don't know if anyone else had noticed those yet last night or not, because I certainly didn't.
The other thing is, it looks like the actual clamp, the ball assembly is sitting on the pin that everybody thought was temporary.
Yeah, I think I noticed that last week even, that cylinder seems to be down in that little void just below.
Yeah, it's for the main load transfer, because you can maneuver those balls aren't fixed in space.
They've got an actuator down through there, so I don't know this little ball.
Potentially they're on sort of like a hydraulic plate jack with main cylinder that those ball assemblies are sitting on top of. The those machine cylinders that were sitting in there prior to them lowering on these the final interface.
So we can assume this is the position I'll be on when the booster's sitting, because they're doing the testing. I guess they've got all those sitting in their actual proper spot when the booster's sitting on it.
Perhaps, but those can rotate.
They can rotate out, can't they?
Yeah, and we can't quite see. It's how the center T interacts with the door. They kind of have to be sort of pointing outward slightly, rather than vertically like that. But
okay, I guess in this photo too, we can see the rear hoods here being put on, and I don't know, some people were really OCDing out about this little gap here, but it looks like if we go back a week or two, I suppose, this hood actually sits in behind that outer edge a little bit. It's kind of sunk in a little bit, and I guess that's to sort of help the plume not getting into the QD hoods.
How so?
Sorry?
How so?
Because it's the right way around, and not like... Wasn't on the other BQD there was a gap where the plume could get in, and this is more sort of closed off.
I know where you're going on that, Alex. I mean, obviously, you're going to say that the plume can actually kind of wrap itself and still make it in there, but
no,
it's better. It's better than what the Pad 1 was, because that vertical seam is covered up. It's not out in the open. So
I wasn't going there, because there's a very large mating surface that they're bolted to, and they had the shims over at Sanchez that they're using to fill in the gaps. So
maybe the shims are still in Sanchez. So
not all of them. Not all of them, if my count was right, but I may be mistaken.
So they could shim this way a little bit.
Yep, But I mean, it's the mating surface is fairly substantial. I don't think the plume would get in that way. I think most of the plume was getting in from it being wide open from underneath, and just a pressure gradient pulling from the door opening, the main hood opening is where I think it was coming in from, as well as from underneath was where the majority of the heat was coming into pad 1's mount.
But would you agree? Would you agree, though, Alex, that the proper shingle overlaps that these seams have would at least have some benefit in terms of not allowing things to kind of wrap around and get back in, even if that seam was as sealed as possible?
I don't think the pressure gradient would. There's negative pressure on the face, and that's your primary concern, is if it's going to pull in. It's not getting blasted in, it's getting sucked in.
Cool.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wow.
So any questions at the moment regarding the actual test rig here, Alex B?
None for the actual test rig, but we have got some for the actual launch type.
We'll just hold up for a sec. So they did another deluge test through the week. I think also they did another purge of the actual the plate on top. And they've got rid of the water quite quickly. There's still a bit of gunk in here. I'm led to believe that's just from dust rather than dirty water. Now, just wondering how much more of the launch site we missed anywhere. They have been continuing with these strips and getting rid of that gap, which everyone was most annoyed with. I think they finished these last week. Still to put a bit of plating on this, so that side plating's been put on. Still a bit of plating to be put on this side. I guess they're just using that for access for now.
It's weird that on both sides, that red plate they had on the ground, you can see it on the left side, it's still there. Yeah.
It's there.
That one, yeah.
Okay.
Just keep an eye on it.
I just think maybe there might be a door here eventually.
Eventually, they may or may not cut a doorway in, because those plates on the ground are different than what they've used other places.
Okay, that plate. Yeah, cool. Okay, what have we missed at the launch site before we go into questions? The whole rest of the system. So they've still got this testing piece of pipe pulled out of the tower. They're still missing a pump on the methane side. Otherwise, not a lot to talk about on the front, I don't think. So perhaps we'll take questions now. Thanks, Alex B.
Okay. The first one is from Crane Man. I noticed that they situated the same kind of mirrors / reflectors on top of the BQD covers inside of the OLM B ring, next to some sort of clamp arm, or is there next to some of the clamp arms at 2 different length profiles? Great show.
Thanks for the positive feedback. We're talking about those bits in between again in here.
I believe so.
Yeah, there was one that had a plate on it similarly, but I think it's different, so I'm not sure that it's correlated.
On the right side, right there, that has a plate. That one, yeah.
Right there. That's what I think he's talking about.
Okay, gotcha.
And then
yeah.
it actually looks like it's got a wire coming to it from that off the end. It looks like it comes underneath the bottom and then wraps up and over that leg over there.
Very good.
Yeah.
And next one is from Mokita. Is Marvin tall enough for the SQD?
Yes.
Definitely.
Sure, I hope so.
It's a bit, yeah. Then we've got one from Kai Nessel. What are the two vents next to the Pad B or Pad 2 LOX BQD?
When there's exhaust fans on, they were installed as before they put that plate.
Is that to do with launch, or is that just general ventilation if they're working in there?
Yeah, it's for probably more for when they're working in there. That you need. There's no makeup air, so it just
Because
gets
this would
stagnant.
create a massive hot air bubble under here that would not mix. It'd be horrible to work up in there.
Well, it's also depending how much leakage you have. I mean, you'd have diffusion eventually, but yeah, how much?
I know that's
I mean,
when
you
we're
need a certain
working
amount
on.
of. Okay, go on.
So, and that's when
Oh.
we're working on swimming pools. Like in here, when it's in the summer, you get a hot air bubble inside the pool and be like 10 degrees hotter down in the pool than in the surround, and the air doesn't, hot and cold air doesn't mix very well. So that's more. That's just to answer the question. Exhaust fans possibly for worker comfort when they're working in here in the summer.
Or
Thanks, Alex.
yeah, for air turnover as well. And you have a lot of hydraulic. You have a lot of volatile organics that want to get out. So
Okay, we've got a couple more questions. So, from Muhammad, what is the purpose of each pipe on the flame trench wall on the tower side? I think referring to the supply lines.
from left to right, the far left one is for the sump. The next one is a DSS. Then the next three aren't quite clear because they're going into the actual ring, and one of them is unused.
One of them's DSS, isn't it? We saw that.
The
I think.
DSS is, yeah, it's a second and on the left, I believe.
Yeah. So yeah, and then got another question from Stephen Lewis. How will the top deluge work?
Top deluge.
Pretty much
Yeah.
like the pancake under pad 1.
Okay. And
The
then
main
It's got its own set of tanks over here. These last three tanks here, and they're gas generators. Will foof air out, or foof water out of that pipe, and come along, pop up here, and whoosh.
The more interesting is whether or not the individual channels underneath are segregated, because when a plume hits, it's going to keep any of the jets where it's directly impinged from letting water out.
And then finally from Roger M. Shouldn't the flame trench be pointing to the sea instead of the road?
Probably not. I mean, the air is going to be expanding and rising fairly quickly out of there.
Don't think it'll make it to the road, do you? Anywhere near the road, it should not even come sort of here somewhere, shouldn't it?
He might be referring to Pad A.
It's the same. It's the exact same issue. I mean, Pad A, where the trenches end, is substantially further away. That whole distance, it probably the plume wouldn't pass those more than likely temporary methane tanks.
Oh, we will cover the ICU in a second, sorry. We'll keep going with the questions for now.
Oh, that's all clear. My queue's clear.
Cool. So just quickly, we'll go to, where are we? I think they're in here. The port connector road stuff. thought I had, here it is. So at the Port Connector Road, the ASU equipment's still accumulating. I think last week we saw them take covers off. We didn't get to cover this last week because there was some technicality with software, which Matt's done an awesome job of working out what happened and fixed the problem. So good on you, Matt. And yeah, some tanks have arrived. They were there last week, and still the rest of the equipment sitting there. So back to the actual ASU site. We have a lot of formwork and rebar set up for some concrete. So these are where there's not concrete, then here there is concrete.
Finding out grade beams.
Some grade beams and some sort of pads. This is, I think, the compressor area, I think, by the plans, roughly.
Yeah, more or less.
Heaps of heavy-duty rebar going in. Some electrical stuff going in areas here and there as well. This place will have a fair amount of electrical work involved. So they've put a lot of this glass gravel down on the entire site, didn't they, BJ?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's not quite as clear now where they have and haven't put it. Even towards that the right-hand side, it was much more visible. So it's almost like they've come back in and put additional proper gravel over the top of the foam gravel. It's rather confusing.
I can see lots of the pile diggers been very busy since last week as well, putting many more piles in.
Yeah,
And,
the outer culvert, that double wall culvert is on the other side, is looking more like it's for capturing the surface runoff and slowly letting it percolate into the sand to cut back on any what point like outflows.
Basically like a biofilter. Basically like a filter, sorry.
Yeah, sort of, but it's percolation more so than filtering, but yeah.
Are these areas being built up to form basically like a catch basin underneath all of the equipment? That way, in case there is any kind of a leak or something like that, it's caught and not sent into the environment?
Currently what they're putting in is strictly foundation. The grade beams for transferring the loads between piles is what that's for.
So could we see concrete over the very top of this?
There probably will be, or just straight gravel.
Yeah. Okay, so any last questions or comments about the launch site, BJ or Todd?
I'm good.
Okay, any last questions there, Alex B? Well, have we lost Alex B? Oh no, you're here. He seems to have gone up here. There is one question here. How are the lines going to go to the tank farm from here? So on the plan, there was something about propellant lines running through here somewhere. I think they're going to take them over with a pipe, aren't they, Alex? Over to the, even maybe onto these fill lines over here, perhaps even.
They'll probably go in a vault underneath the road. Similar to what they did heading to the pads.
Yep. So they'll have to cross the road at some stage underneath.
I think it's over on the left side of the opening from the traffic circle.
John T saying they're about to push over the first leg on pad 1. Wow. They're going ahead quite quickly. So go make sure you check out the cameras at NSF and the pad drone. Check out that action. Will the new flame trench blast the air separation unit? I think we just covered that. No, there's plenty of room. There's plenty of room between here and there. That's It's not even actually really facing, it's sort of more facing this direction. You look at it from this angle, or maybe slightly that way, yeah. No, yes, separation unit will be fine. So there's actually currently right now this one of these excavators is actually pushing one of these legs over right now as we speak. So I'm actually going to check out the live cams for that. And with that, I think we can end the stream. So I'll start wrapping up. And thank you, Todd, for joining us today. Sorry I didn't really get to hear from you much, but thanks for your input nonetheless.
Yeah, no, it was always fun being here. I really enjoy it. Thank you guys all for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button, and everybody who got a membership, make sure you link your Discord so you can join us next week in the show and tell. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
And thanks, Alex B, for joining us today and doing the questions and answers. Oh, you are back. Thank you.
Pleasure.
And BJ, as always, thank you very much for your knowledge on things like the Gigabay and the cranes and so forth. And in general, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I was glad to join in the discussion and let everyone know what's going on. I know there's lots of other opinions out there, so join us in Discord for some show and tells, and let us know what you think.
As always, thank you, Alex, for joining us, and it's always fun having you on the stream. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thanks, big shout out to Matt, because Matt's taken on Astro's Gen job as well, getting us all rounded up and scheduled for the live streams, and as well as pushing the buttons and turning the knobs. So thank you very much, Matt.
My pleasure. Always happy to do it.
And with that, we can say, how's it go again? Most engines cut off, separation confirmed. Love you, bye.